Favorites, the podcast presented by Bet365. We are part of the Volume Podcast Network, live from our Tommy John home studios. I am Chad Millman of the Action Network. This is our Sunday night episode. We will review our fave 5 picks that we put into the favorites contest. We will dissect why we left some games out. We will preview the early lines we already like for week 11. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, my companion, my compadre, my BFF, professional bettor, Simon Hunter. Hello, Simon.
Hey, Chad, how we doing?
Brother, there were points today where we were likely to be 4-0. We were likely to be 0-4. We were likely to be 2-2 with the two teams that we lost. We were lost with. We were likely to be 2-2 with the two teams that we won with. As it stands, we are exactly 2-2. Somehow today, Simon, the streak of favorites covering, road favorites covering, has come to an end. At least that was true in the early window today. Reminder, road favorites heading into today's games had been 16 games over 500. They were 1-3 in the early window. The favorites were road favorites. The bad news, we faded the one team that won, and we backed one of the teams that lost. Those are our two losses on the day. We'll get to all of that. Catch every episode of The Favorites live on YouTube. For those enjoying on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. As a reminder, the Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code FAVORITES, deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right, let's start with the road favorite we faded. Because when we chatted this morning to decide on our final picks, this was the one game you were all of a sudden having second thoughts about, which completely threw me, totally surprised me. I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts plus 4.5 against the Buffalo Bills. That was the one road team that covered in the early window. Give me your thoughts on why all of a sudden you got antsy.
Other than Josh Allen, Joe Flacco, but it was just Josh Allen. It was just the Josh Allen part of it where I was like, are we overthinking this one here? And clearly we did. The better QB, even though it wasn't a great day for him, he was struggling. At one point, if you took away that pick six, it would have been a 13-10 game. The Colts would have had the ball. But he did throw that pick six. So it was 17-13. Joe Flacco had to keep throwing the ball, and that was not a position we wanted to be in. We wanted them to run the ball, and instead they had to pass the ball because they were behind basically from the get-go. And yeah, Chad, it's appearing Joe Flacco's turned into a pumpkin since he's become the starter. This is the Joe Flacco we all knew and loved, who had retired, that couldn't get a job with any team in the NFL. And then Cleveland gave him a job, and he went on a crazy run. He's back to what he was before that crazy run, and that's unfortunate because it was a good number. And at 4.5, I like the spot as well, but at the simplest terms, the simplest base of it, it was just like, are we overthinking this betting against Josh Allen here? And yeah, we did.
So, look, to put a finer point on it, I have a little bit of a different take on this game because it generally went, if we're taking out sort of the randomness of turnovers, exactly as we thought it would go. The Colts dominated on the ground. When they weren't turning the ball over, they were the not better side, but equal side in that game. There were two drives that mattered. Look, Jonathan Taylor, by the way, averaged 5.4 yards per carry, had more than 100 yards. Like, this team was grinding it. And don't forget, Joe Flacco throws the pick six. Then they're in the red zone. He throws another interception.
Yeah.
After that, they were still up 13-10 in the first half. So to me, this game came down to Josh Allen, as you said, and it was in the back of my head while I was watching Josh Allen do Josh Allen things, because on the second to last drive of the first half, Josh Allen throws a 34-yard bomb to Dawson Knox, and then next play runs it 13 yards for a touchdown. The Colts have to punt on the next drive, and here comes Josh Allen. It's 2nd and 10 from his 27. He's rolling right. His heels get clipped twice. Keeps his balance before he goes out of bounds. Classic Josh Allen flick. Mac Hollins, 44 yards. They get a field goal. All of a sudden, they're up 20-13. And like, it's still, the Colts were in it the whole time. It's 20-13 in the third quarter. They're driving, 4th and inches. Joe Flacco gets sacked. So you're right. It was Josh Allen. You're right. It was Joe Flacco. But if not for Josh Allen and Joe Flacco, we were right there.
You even mentioned he got strip sacked too, Flacco. Like he just 3 turnovers, he just killed us. And we talk all the time. When you bet ugly dogs, you cannot lose the turnover battle. And not that I knew that we were dead when he threw that pick six, but I knew eventually Josh would figure it out. It took him a half, like you said. He was bad to start the game, but once he gets in a groove, I mean, we joke all the time. This guy is top 3, top 2 talent in the league for a reason. He's incredible, and yeah, definitely a bad bet.
It's almost unfair what he can do. So good for the Bills. Good for Matt Mitchell.
Yeah, good for you, Matt Mitchell.
Really excited for him.
Rubbing dirt in our wounds before we come on the show.
Yeah, that was kind of, by the way, Matt Mitchell, like, I'm the producer. I don't ever make comments about your picks, but I knew that was a bad pick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt Mitchell. Really give us a lot of confidence before the show. All right. So one of the road favorites that we were all in on, we were so excited about, we're like, this is the spot. San Francisco at Tampa, 5.5 when it opened, 6.5 in the contest. Tampa coming off a physical overtime game in Kansas City, traveling back. San Francisco getting Christian McCaffrey back. And this started out so perfectly for us, Simon. We were nailing it.
I mean, it did what? You're talking about when they're up 10-0 and 10-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still, it never felt right. But you're right. At the end of the day, I mean, we're gonna talk about blame this kicker, but the red zone struggles continued though. That's what is just bumming me out. It's like they just can't complete these drives. They dominated Tampa in every way. I mean, Tampa, they're so good at making the plays when they need to. That's that kind of team they are. If you let them hang into this game, they'll steal it from you. I mean, they almost did with the Chiefs the week before. It's just they're really great at making teams play down to their level and keeping them in it. But they also got crazy lucky. I mean, we had the muff kick. Like you said, they were dead, and they muffed that punt. And
talk about to open the second half. The Bucs were down.
And they went 3 and out to start the second half.
They went 3 and out, and the 49ers muffed the punt, and then all of a sudden the Bucs are back in the game, and it's like, come on.
Still though, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, fucking Moody. Like, this guy misses 3 kicks and just kills us. Like, it's just so brutal when we play these numbers, these favorites and these key numbers, and we don't get the lucky breaks where it's like, come on. Like, this is the guy's worst career day, and so it happens to be the day we bet on him. So yeah, I was bummed about it. At the end of the day, we should have taken the 5.5, and we didn't get the 5.5. We got greedy and thought we were smart in the book and took the 6.5. Where at the end of the day, the 5.5 was probably the right number, right?
Yeah.
Like, he makes 2 of those kicks at least. They win by 6. The 5.5 was the right number, and we got greedy taking that 6.5.
Well, look, even if we had taken the 5.5, even with all that, don't forget the Bucs had a 4th down in their own territory. They went for it. Nick Bosa is hanging on Baker Mayfield, literally hanging on the guy. It's one of the best defensive ends in all of football, one of the best defensive players in all of football. Baker Mayfield is such a fucking baller. He's stiff arming the dude, dragging him as he rolls right, and he completes a miraculous fourth down pass. If he doesn't do that,
I know.
there was enough time that even if the Niners had gained 10 yards, they were going to have to kick a field goal. Like they were going to be conservative, but the Bucks had enough timeouts that, you and I both had the 5.5. I was still like crossing my fingers as Baker is about to go down, but before he completes that pass, and like that weird slow motion moment where your entire bet is in the balance. I was thinking in all those moments, it's like in a movie when everything goes slow motion and like you're flashing, you're like, all right, this is going to be incomplete. This is how much time is left. This is like the 10,000 hours of betting, the situation. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to have to kick a field goal. We'll be up by 6. We're going to lose this contest, but at least we'll win the 5.5. Fucking Baker, like, not only completes that pass, but then there's like 3 straight penalties. The Bucks tie it. I'm like, okay, great. 41 seconds left. Maybe we can get the 6 in overtime. And then Jake Moody finally does his job. Like that was excruciating. That was an excruciating beat.
It is, but like giving more love to Baker, he is showing me so much right now these last couple of weeks. Like to go toe to toe with the Chiefs on the road, then come home, like you said, on a short rest, and just keep his team in it, where he's just dragging these guys across the finish line. It's crazy. Like
no Godwin, no Evans.
No, like you should just lay down and die in this matchup, and he just didn't go away. And it's pretty crazy that not that Sam Darnold's turned back into a pumpkin, but you know what I mean. Take away Jefferson and his other weapons and see how Sam Darnold is on the Vikings now. And it's just Baker's not that. It's pretty crazy. Like Baker might actually last here for the next 5 to 8 years in this league, which is just crazy to think where he was at. He was on 3 different teams in a year span, and now he's like a legit starter in this league. So yeah, brutal loss for Tampa. That's kind of game they steal that one there. They could easily be a 7 seed for the playoffs, and now it feels like they're slowly fading away from this playoff race.
I wonder if there was a poll of quarterbacks who are respected by players, like where Baker would land. It's going to be Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar, but they also gotta love Baker. I would not be surprised, even if he's not a top 10 quarterback in terms of talent, he's a guy that everybody wants to play with. Here's the question we have to ask ourselves. You're projecting a little bit about Tampa Bay now. What do we think of the Niners at this point? They are not a team that like can get into any rhythm yet. And was today, okay, this is your first game back with McCaffrey. Maybe you're being a little conservative. Kyle Shanahan said in the halftime interview, they're pulling back a little bit on his snaps because it was so hot. They didn't want to burn him out in that first game. But like, what do we think of the Niners right now?
They're a tough team to get a read on just because the red zone struggles. And it's like, yeah, I want to fade them as these big favorites, but we know if they put together, they can roll teams by 21. Like that's just the hard thing to say is what are we getting week to week? Because right now it isn't consistent, and trying to figure it out isn't consistent. Like one week they're great and dominant, like they were against that Cowboys team, right? They came on that second half when they were down 10-6, scored 21 straight, right? 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. And when they're kicking field goals like this and let teams hang in, we've seen this season, they've lost a lot of those games. Like they could have lost today. If Baker makes that completion, not going to overtime, I mean, they probably win this game, as crazy as that sounds. So, yeah, they're a tough team to get a read on. Obviously, we'll talk about their line coming up, but I'm assuming they're going to be a big favorite this upcoming week.
It is a big, big number against Seattle. Touchdown favorite. We're going to get into that one for sure. All right, let's talk about a couple games we won. And again, in like when we got to near halftime, I was convinced, all right, Pittsburgh's going to blow this. The Colts are going to cover.
Jesus.
The Niners are going to find their way. But this game with Pittsburgh kind of in the end, like ended up exactly the way we thought it would. We just had to get there. We survived a failed fake punt from the Steelers 10 when they were winning. We survived a fumble by the Steelers on the Commanders' 1-yard line when they were about to go in for the go-ahead score. We survived Jaden Daniels multiple times. We were saved This is why football was so great. A Russell Wilson moonball to the newly acquired and vilified by Aaron Rodgers. How lucky he got out of New York, Mike Williams, who made a Willie Mays over-the-shoulder catch for the game-winning touchdown. It was chef's kiss. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really fun. And of all the games we picked this week, this is one that like both of us were a little hesitant about it because of the Jaden Daniels factor, but I never really wavered. I loved it, but like you said, we both bet heavy on the 3. I bet heavy on the 3 and the 2.5, and I think we were talking in the morning. It already moved to 1.5 or 2, and it's like, should we fade this late steam? I remember, not that you had cold feet about it, but like you were just a little unsure of it.
I did. It was like, it just felt like to me, Simon, like the rah-rah spot that we know we have to bet that feels a little bit cursed going against Jaden Daniels. Because everybody else was betting it too. I was starting to.
Yeah, that's fair. It was a public talk. But it really came down just to the number and the 2.5. I mean, once again, the 2.5, how important it is, it was going to land on it. Like if Daniels drove the field, got that field goal, it lands on 2. And it's like, no worries. That's why we always talk about how this is the most important number in football. I really should try to make some money off this 2.5 thing. I feel like we're the only ones that beat it to death, but it's such a key number now in football. And yeah, that's the definition of a Tomlin spot. And I'm with you that I never lost faith, even when we were down, I never lost faith, but the fumble at the 1, again, this is coming off all these missed kicks on the 49ers. I'm just like, oh my God. Are we really about to be 1-3 where we should be 3-1? And luckily, like you said, got the moon ball from Russell Wilson. And Pittsburgh, I hate that I doubted them. I mean, I said it was a small bet to take their under before the season, but Tomlin got that over all those years with no quarterback, and we've seen what he can be now with just not even a great quarterback, but someone that at least can be consistent back there. And yeah, he put his neck out for Russell Wilson, and it's paid off. I mean, they're what, 7-2 now, Chad? I have to look at their record. But
they are 7-2, Simon.
That's crazy. Like they're a game away now from going over their win total.
They're 7-2, and they're 3-0 straight up against the spread as a dog, and they're in first place in their division.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
And obviously they've got a huge game coming up.
Oh, their schedule gets brutal from here on out. I mean, that was obviously no easy game either, but it's just, that was a huge win. Like I said, that win dictates, if the Commanders win that game, they could easily have won the NFC East. They still can, obviously. They play the Eagles on Thursday, but Pittsburgh now, like you just said, they're in the driving position of their division now. That's just a huge win.
They got Baltimore this week. Obviously, they'll be home underdogs against the Ravens. We're going to talk about that one too. So the one thing I want to say about this is it was a weird game because it felt like we were dominating the whole game, except for a 16-play, 91-yard drive by Jaden Daniels to end the first half, and then an opening drive to score a touchdown.
I mean, that drive, again, we talk all the time. He is so good, though. Like, that drive was not vintage Peyton Manning, but it felt like that. Like, this kid in a 2-minute drill, it's something special. And it's just, when you watch, you just know. And it's like, I know I hate that he's in my favorite team's division, but as someone that just loves football, it's like, man, I'm going to enjoy this for the next 10, 15 years. Jaden Daniels is just something special to watch.
He is amazing. He's just so good. But that was a really sweet victory for us. Yay, Steelers. Yay, rah-rah. All right. Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans plus 3.5. Let's give it up for Saints interim head coach and special teams coach, Darren Rizzi. Because after the game, Darren Rizzi admitted that when he got to the stadium, he went to use the crapper in the coach's locker room, the head coach's crapper, and he stopped it up. And the first thing he thought to himself was, this is going to be a crappy day. That's what he admitted post-game. And the truth is, we love an interim coach with a sense of humor who also covers.
Yeah, and I mean, you just saw it was just he was. I love first-time head coaches, right? Because he's so emotional and silent. Every play, he's living and dying. I mean, every time they miss a kick, he was going berserk, which cracked me up. And it's like, man, I love there's still guys like this coaching, like not the boring, always kind of pissed off guy on the side, like literally guy having fun with real emotions. But that was a total spot. Like that Saints
Yeah.
team is so bad, and they were so good in this game in so many different ways. Defensively, they stepped up. Derek Carr's deep ball was incredible. And another play that I thought we were dead on was Kamara dropping that easy
Yes.
walk-in touchdown of the game.
Yeah.
And all
So
I
at the
can
end of the
think
game,
of,
just like context, they had a 3rd and 1. They get a first
yeah,
down, and it's over. Alvin Kamara does not have anybody within 20 yards of him. And
no,
he drops the ball.
yeah,
Just drops it. I thought,
he,
oh, fucking A.
yeah.
It's gonna end 24-20. Or it's gonna go to overtime and we're gonna lose 26-20.
No, I definitely felt the 24-20. It's like you just gave Kirk the exact life he needed. The defense is tired. They'll be able to get it here. And no, the defense really stepped up. I mean, they only gave up 17 points to this high-flying Atlanta team. And, Robinson had an incredible game. I don't know if you catch a couple of his
Oh
touchdowns,
God,
but yeah,
he was sick.
incredible. And, like, that was the main game I had on my main TV. That was, like, my favorite bet today on
Yeah.
Convince Me. And it's like, feeling good, right? They started out Saints looking great, and then they're not doing anything the second half. I think they only scored 3 points in the whole second half, and we
Yeah.
still held on to the cover. So, really fun sweat bet. We might take a week off from betting the Saints team.
You think? Because right now they're going to be 3-point home favorites against the Cleveland Browns. So it might actually not be a game we take off in which we have to bet the return of Jameis Winston
That's true.
to New Orleans in a revenge game for getting shuttled out of town. This was a huge luck game, the biggest luck game
Yeah.
on the board for the luck rankings. And it almost played out exactly like that. The Falcons missed multiple field goals. Talk about, your fate being on the foot of kickers. That included Younghoe Koo missing the game-tying kick with 6:30 left in the game. We got a little bit back because of the Alvin Kamara drop, so it was a little bit equal.
I wouldn't have minded making it though, because I told you I was worried about that touchdown. So him making the field goals would have been nice, because they would have just been up 3, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay. Like now we have Derek Carr taking those deep shots, and if he misses, who cares? We still cover our number. But yeah, I had a decent amount on their money line as well, especially on our money line round robin.
Yeah.
And I thought we would get there with the Saints, but when they put up 3 in the second half, it's like I didn't feel like we deserved it or even had the chance to get in there. But once again, their defense really stepped up, that Saints team. And we talk all the time. That's a difference of having a coach you like and you want to play hard for. And that felt like a game where the team played hard for that coach, where, there's some other games we could talk about if you want, where it just felt like guys simply quit on their team and their coaches.
Last stat for you. The Saints averaged 10.76 yards per passing attempt.
That's crazy.
That is insane. And
We only won by 3.
Yeah, shout out to Nick Giffen, by the way, who not only had this in luck rankings, also had the Cowboys, Eagles under in the luck rankings, also had the Jaguars, Vikings in the luck rankings. The
unders.
Also had, he talked about this on Convince Me this morning. If you're not watching, you're missing, because he had Derek Carr under half an interception in this game and had a great breakdown about how the Falcons can't get pressure. So when Carr isn't pressured, he's less likely than the league average to throw an interception. All right. We just talked about some teams that really quit. And so that's going to be impacting how we think about them going forward. We have the Rams -1.5 tomorrow night. Thank God. Our last game out was the Jets -2.5. You want to talk about that for a second?
Swing and a miss. That was a bad one. And it's like typical where, like, you always joke about you getting bullied, but I wish I could have dug in my feet on it, but I got where everyone was coming from and what their view was. And I should have trusted my instincts and thought this line should be 3 with Arizona. The books had hung a bad line. Instead, I went against that, thought I had made a bad read, that the professionals were smart on it, and they weren't. That is a team that has simply quit in every way. And Arizona, the Kyler experience, when he's on, he is on. Like in that game, I think at one point he was 20 for 21 passing. Like he was really locked
Completed
in.
17 straight passes, new Arizona Cardinals record. He might have completed more, but that's when I saw the record.
No, he was really impressive. And, we always joke, like, you can tell a lot from the early in the game how two teams are. They drove the field, got 2 touchdowns. Jets drive the field, get 2 field goals. And like we always say, it's over from that point forward. I think they eventually went up 21-6. And offensively, they could have done whatever they wanted, Arizona. They just looked like such a better team. Defensively, we've talked about it. Like, they're a team of no names. I mean, they have Buda Baker, obviously, but Gannon's really turned that defense around into his identity of they give up yards, but they don't surrender those touchdowns. And they've kind of had that identity this whole season. So impressive. It's 4 straight wins for him now, the Cardinals and Kyler. So I keep waiting for it to fall the other way, but it's not happening. This is a legit team. They deserve to be winning the NFC West right now. Like, they're the best team in that division, no doubt.
6-4. 2 things. One, anytime you say Buda Baker, he's one of the best defensive players in football. And this year he's sort of playing like it. I always feel whenever I hear my kid and I, whenever we're watching these games, we're always like, so-and-so, college, John Simpson, college, and we'll mention like the most random people to see if we can get it right. He said Buda Baker, and in my head, I'm like, Buda Baker, the way he plays, he should have gone to LSU or Alabama. I'll open it up to the YouTube chat as well as Evan to see if anyone can get the right college for Buda Baker. Speaking of teams, wow, someone just got it. Washington. That's right. Speaking of teams that quit, boy, those Dallas Cowboys. Thank God we didn't have a conversation about putting them in the contest.
No, and I won't even tell the people the other game you were trying to get in there because you were losing your goddamn mind.
No. Well, you're right.
No, don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I was tempted by the Titans. All week we had avoided the Titans. I was tempted by the Titans just because I was going to mention it was the one game that Nick Giffen in the luck rankings completely whiffed on. And all week, like, he had been hyping it in the Slack channel. I was saying, this is gross. We're not going to do it. He talked about it to convince me. We avoided it. I'm proud of us. So good for that.
You're like, I know it's gross. Let's just put it in. Yeah, it's gross, but let's just stick it in there.
It wasn't that cavalier.
It was.
It was more like, if we're going to take one out, you said if we're going to take one out, you'd rather put the Jets in. I said, really? Over the Titans? And we ended up leaving it as it is with the Rams for tomorrow night. The one game that I feel like we missed on, and we just sort of were cowardly, even though we handicapped it perfectly, was the Broncos. We nailed it.
Yeah, that was really fun. I mean, we didn't even talk about that. That was by far the most insane game of the day. As much as I want to take a victory lap on Dallas sucking and the Eagles winning, I don't want to punch down right now. Our producer Giff knows. He doesn't need it. He doesn't care. I don't think the Cowboys care right now. They're just like, whatever. We'll get a good draft pick. Kansas City Chiefs, we joke all the time. They're going to get caught by some team, but they just find a way. And what was it? Was Denver up 14-3 at one point?
Yeah.
Okay. There was something like that.
They were up. I can't remember what it was, but they were definitely, it was 14-3, I think.
They're beating the crap out of them. And somehow Spags makes the adjustments. Bo Nix, who I think he started the game, throwing for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns at that point. They figured him out and they shut it down. I don't think he scored another point the rest of the game, right? They won 16-14. So.
They did.
Yeah, even on their worst day, which was today, like we talked about, they came off a short week overtime game. They looked sluggish. They looked tired. They did not play well. Still played a full game. And that's what's so special about this Chiefs team. And, we joke all the time about that Brady run with that perfect team and the pressure you feel. That team was not coming off of anything. Like, this is a team coming off 2 Super Bowls. Now they're a perfect 9-0, this Kansas City team. It is truly mental how special this team is, and this everything between the coaching, the players, everything. And I know we're gonna want to keep doing what we've been doing. Is we take Mahomes as a short favorite and we fade him as a big dog. And I'm with you. I'm pissed we didn't have it in there because it it went right into what we talked about with him. He plays these ugly teams close, and he beats up on the good teams. Like, that's the thing about Mahomes. It's bizarre. Like the 49ers, they beat the crap out of them. They played really good against the Ravens. That game today, they did not play good. It was tough in every way. The Denver was all over them, and still they found a way. And yeah, you can say they got lucky, but that was a blocked field goal. That's not luck. That's coaching scheme. It's something they saw on tape and they attacked it. So yeah, that was probably the most fun game. That was the game I jumped out of my seat and shouted because I was like, holy shit, I can't believe they blocked that, because I thought they were dead too, just like the announcers. So pretty crazy, Chiefs fans.
All right, well, let's use that to transition into the Week 11 games. Reminder: Simon and I are 2-2 heading into Monday Night Football. We're on the Rams at -1.5 in the contest. The numbers moved up, obviously.
Sharp.
Tyreek. And by the way, that ultimately was the factor. Like, we liked the number on the Rams at 1.5. It was 2.5 in the contest this morning, so we decided to lock in that closing line value. Week 11, I don't even want to say the games I like, because the game that I want to talk about is the game that you just mentioned, the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. The Chiefs are 1-point favorites against Josh Allen, who's playing the best football he's ever played in his career. And like, everything says, of course we want to take the Bills. Yet we can't, because we're going to have to take Patrick Mahomes as a 1-point favorite on a now 15-game winning streak with a score differential in their undefeated season so far of 56 points, which is the lowest score differential of any team that has ever started undefeated through this many games. It's why we bet against the Chiefs this past week, because they are not blowing teams out. But like, the fuck do we do here, Simon?
This is easy bet. I am on Bet365 in New Jersey. The line has flipped to +1.5 on the Chiefs. Hammer that number on the Chiefs. We talk about it. You don't think when Mahomes is the dog, don't overthink it. You take the number. So
you're right.
I could have been talked into this if the Bills were the dog. That's where the value would have been. The professionals already come in. They've already hit this number. It's +1.5 right now for this Chiefs team. Give it to me. I mean, if I could put more than $1,000 on a teaser, this would be a huge teaser play for me at 7.5 on this Chiefs team. But unfortunately, that's not going to be happening for next at least 2 or 3 days. So I'll grab it early. This Chiefs 1.5. I'll grab as much as I can, even if it just keeps going up. Like we've seen it before, right? It was like that 49er scenario.
Yeah.
They got to 2.5 by kickoff. So maybe I'll get a little greedy and wait. Maybe this more Bills money will come in, but we don't overthink these spots. We take Mahomes the dog. Even if we lose this game, long term, it's a winner.
Yeah, I can't argue with it. Even if they were a 1-point favorite, I still probably would have played the Chiefs.
We know this Bills team, though. And that's another thing I was pissed off today. We talked about, you bet the Bills against bad teams, and nothing has stand out more this year. They've just beat up on bad teams this year. But we said they struggle against good teams. This year when they've played good competition, they've struggled against them. So trying hard not to overthink this one, because I am with you. I wanted right away. I wanted to be on the Bills because I thought we were going to get them as a dog. But no, the professionals or the public, whoever came in early, has dictated this. Happy to bet this Chiefs team at +1.5 right now.
I know the right side is the winning side. Shout out Scooch. But the Colts were the right side in that game. They cover that game if they don't have 2 interceptions, a fumble, and a fourth
all that
ends in a sack.
All that stuff.
And by the way, and a touchdown to Josh Downs, their best receiver, that he drops. That is a walk-in touchdown.
I agree with Matt Mitchell, who says it's a ludicrous take.
What does Matt Mitchell know? All right, we also mentioned the Niners. Niners are 7-point favorites at home against Seattle. I don't know that I've seen enough from the Niners at this point to make them a 7-point favorite in the division.
I know.
Against a team coming off a bye.
Crazy. It's crazy because even if they covered today, say they did cover, I would make this line like 6.5. But they didn't cover it, so it's like, how do you not make this line 5.5? It's 7. It opens at 7, so I guess I'm a sucker. I'm missing something here. I'll take the 7 right away, like you just said. Who are this 49ers team to be getting that 7? I know the Seahawks have been bad and everything. We get it. But like Chad just said, they're coming off a bye in a divisional game that's a must win for the Seahawks team. They are so desperate. They know this is their season in this game. So, yeah, the 7, this has to come down. Is this really going to go up to 7.5? Is this really going to keep going up? I don't think so. I think it's going to go down by Tuesday. So I'm with you on that one. I'll grab the 7 now.
The other game that interested me, I know we just talked about it. I don't know how we don't take Cleveland +3 against New Orleans. It's in New Orleans. I know it's Jameis, but I don't have a fear of that one. Like the come down for the Saints, it's still the Saints. It's still a team that just lost 7 in a row. It's a
Agree.
team that had the perfect spot and still, by the way, needed a lot of luck to win this game. Like that defense that the Browns have is the epitome of the defense that gives Derek Carr a hard time. If I can get the Cleveland Browns as an underdog with one more week of Jameis prepping to take over, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm laughing because that week, I don't know how it helps Jameis. Either we're going to get a good Jameis day or we're getting a bad Jameis day. Me and you know that, betting him. We'd have no idea what we're going to get out of him. But I agree with you. This is more to me just about playing the number.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to bet this one for real this week because there's other games I do like a lot more. And again, Jameis, I still feel like, you got away one against the Ravens. And it's like, I can't get over that. The Kyle Hamilton drop just always will pop in my head with him for the rest of the year where it's like, that's who he is. Like, that really is who he is. He's going to throw a bunch of amazing passes and then just one absolute meatball right to the defender that either they're going to catch it or they're just going to go right through their hands. So, yeah, play the number. I'm already seeing a couple 2.5s pop up, Chad. So you're actually on the smart side around. This number is moving. So I would say if you agree with me and Chad, definitely grab the 3 now because it's going down.
What do we do with Pittsburgh and Baltimore? Pittsburgh is a 3-point underdog at home. It's the rah-rah spot.
Yeah.
Baltimore is streaking right now. It feels like we're tempting fate. I know percentage-wise we're supposed to keep betting the Steelers, but it does feel like we are tempting fate a little bit. And also, here's one thing that I think is really important. The Steelers have been much better when Alex Highsmith was playing. He went out at the end of the Commanders game and was walking on one leg off the field. The Steelers defensive end. So I do think I'm not quite anxious to bet it until I know his status.
Yeah, I'm again total speculation, but he looked like he stepped on Daniel's ankle and rolled his own ankle.
Yeah.
Rare that's a quick turnaround. So I'm with you on that. That's definitely negative, but it's another game where you can, if you want, you can be patient. I'm going to grab the 3 now just because in case professional side come in on Pittsburgh, but this is going to be a pros versus Joes. I mean, this is every year we do this. Every year we're in the exact spot. Me and you have bet this number at 3.5 on Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett and Pittsburgh at home against Lamar, and we've covered that number. So I know I get what you're saying right now, but you're going to come around. This is no doubt. This is going to be one of our picks, but it's all about the value. If it's 2.5, I have no issue now forcing this one in. At 3.5, it's too tempting to pass on that number, especially where we just know this Ravens team. Top 2, number 1 offense in football, terrible defense. They're just terrible. Like Chase, I know he's special. He looked like he was playing at different speed. And I know that it's youth is the game changer because, again, when the Eagles played against him, Mitchell shut him down. Like when you have a young, fast corner, it's different. With Chase, though, he looks so much faster than this secondary. And now they might be without Kyle Hamilton on the Ravens side. How do we not factor that in as well? That's an even bigger loss than anyone we can add into that. Like, I'm trying not to overthink this one. I think we should take the 3 now because I do see the professional money coming in. But people out there that are just one better, they only bet one time a week. You can be patient because I could see this go up to 3.5 because this just feels like such a public side of this Ravens team.
It does.
I mean, we talk all the time about that trend. Lamar 3 and under. It's usually an auto bet for me and Chad. Just in this spot, it's not.
You were talking about Jamar Chase, by the way. I like for a second, I'm like, Chase, who was he talking? And then I remembered
Vinny Chase.
Jamar Chase of the Bengals. All right. What other games are you looking at?
It's just like, okay, these games pop out. We said we thought the Jets quit. The Jets right now are -3 against the Colts. How do you feel like rolling it back with Joe Flacco one
I
more
feel
time?
fine. It's on my list.
All
I
right.
almost felt like
I was worried you were.
I was going to be ridiculed to
I
the
know,
point where I
but
was kicked off the show if I mentioned taking the
no,
Colts.
we're just betting numbers here. So that's an early number I'll grab now, just because that Jets team really looked like they quit on me. That
Colin
coach looks
Coward made a
totally
great
lost.
point. I was talking to Coward. I was doing his show on Thursday, and I told him the wise guys are on the Jets, and he goes, "No." He goes, "Why?" And I gave him all the reasons. He goes, "Yeah, all those make sense if they've got a coach who's good and a team that believes, but they don't." And you know
Fuck,
what? He was
he
100%.
was. Damn, no, that's great. Okay, just ones that jump out to me. Chargers are -2.5 at home against the Bengals Sunday night.
Yep.
That's really interesting. That number is really interesting.
I wrote it down. My first instinct was Cincinnati plus 2.5.
Wow. All right, my first instinct was Chargers because the Bengals is so tempting. I thought that number would be a pick, so that's what I have it modeled at. So that's again another game where I'm just questioning my own model because it's like maybe I'm giving too much respect to this Bengals team because they have had some really close losses, but when they play against really good teams other than the Ravens, they've kind of been rolled, right? Like the Eagles absolutely rolled them. So that to me is just a number that popped out. Like, is this really going to go up to 3? +3, they're going to get so much Bengals money against this Chargers team. So that's just an interesting number that jumped out to me.
I expect T. Higgins to be back.
That's fair. If he is back, that
Mhm.
would change my opinion. But if this is 2.5 and there's no T. Higgins, I love this Chargers. Like they match up really well, not only offensively, but defensively, I think as well. Like their front can attack this Bengals front. Like we know that's the Bengals' weakness. They just can't block for him right now. So just an early line that jumped out to me.
Chargers giving up a craptastic garbage time backdoor over cover to the Tennessee Titans with 41 seconds left today.
That was brutal.
That was in that moment. My dog started whining because she wanted like a little chewy. And I was like, I cannot do this with you right now. And my son was like, why are you being so mean to her? And I didn't want to be like, because I just lost this fucking total because Will Levis did the one thing he can't do for 59 fucking
I
minutes.
know.
I tried to keep myself together. I just said, I don't want to hear the whining right now. That's all I said.
Before we go, just got to get your early read on it because I'm betting. I already bet the Packers at -6.5. What's your view on this? Like, isn't this a huge smash spot for Green Bay? It could not be worse vibes for Chicago.
It is
And now you have Green Bay
terrible
coming in
vibes.
off a bye week.
Dude, it is such bad vibes there. The fact the Bears hired the offensive coordinator they kept the coach. They have wasted a year of Caleb Williams. They have possibly wasted 2 years because next year he will have to unlearn all the bad habits, rebuild chemistry with a team and a receiver core, and DJ Moore specifically, who has clearly lost faith in the guy. And he will have to not be trigger happy because he is afraid that he is going to get his head taken off by teams like the New England Patriots, who sacked him 9 times today. By the way, another excruciating beat. Sean Kerner gave out 29 and a half pass attempts under. Caleb got to 30 on the last play of the game. So it like this team is terrible. But 6.5 is a lot of points in the division at home. That's my take. So
There you go.
I'm not
All right,
ready to
I'm
commit
on
to
the
it.
other side. I'm taking Green Bay now because I think this is going to go up.
Okay. I'm not saying I'm not going to want to eventually get there. I'm not in the same place
No,
you
I get
are.
your hesitation though. I get it. Yeah.
Not there. Because Jordan Love hasn't been amazing. He's been giving the ball up a
No,
lot.
he's been banged up.
He's thrown a lot of picks. So there's a lot of variance there and a big number in the division. All right. Exciting stuff. As a reminder, The Favorites podcast is presented by Bet365, and now new Bet365 customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Sign up using promo code Favorites, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. Next episode, live Tuesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Action Network's YouTube channel. We'll cover the Week 11 board, announce our Week 10 contest winner. Download us from Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your pods. Rate, review, subscribe. Leave us 5 stars. Say whatever you want. Feedback is a gift. Until Tuesday. Love you.